Those headlines tonight: McCarthy's blacklist, bingo, Hollywood's dirty little secret. Band on the run, 30 pop stars, 1 studio, no sandwiches. And earthquake boogie Becker Valley bops to a different beat. Plus, coming up, renowned scientist Professor Reginald P. Bottomsworth claims to have invented a machine that turns thoughts into cheese. But will it work on Tuesdays? Those are the headlines. May the news be ever in your favor.
Maduhu Newsbang, peeling back the layers of nonsense to reveal truth. Nice. 1947.
In a move that would make even Joe McCarthy blush, Hollywood declared war on communism today. Draped in silk ties and paranoia, studio executives gathered at the Waldorf Astoria to unveil the blacklist, a shadowy register of names that could shatter careers faster than a poorly aimed martini.
Fear gripped Tinseltown. Screenwriters adopted pseudonyms like A. Woke and Definitely Not a Communist, while actors eyed each other suspiciously. "I saw Gary Cooper reading Marx," one starlet whispered, "but it was just a fly swatter."
The blacklist transformed Hollywood, trading creative freedom for fear and whispered accusations over lukewarm martinis. The ghosts of the blacklisted still haunt casting calls, assuming they haven't rebranded themselves as reality TV gurus.
1984.
1984, the year a wild-eyed Irishman named Bob Geldof unleashed Do They Know It's Christmas upon the world. This festive earworm, a charity single cobbled together from a motley crew of musicians and synthesizers, raised $8 million and 1,000 questions about Ethiopian Christmas traditions.
Critics scoffed at the lyrics. Do they know it's Christmas? Well, do they have calendars? But the single topped the charts, inspiring a generation to weep into their eggnog.
Geldof's musical crusade spawned Live Aid, Band Aid 2, and countless lesser charity singles. He was later quoted as saying, "If I have to hear another celebrity whine about sharing a microphone with Bono, I'll cancel Christmas myself."
Deem, 1759.
The Levant region is having a right old tectonic tantrum. In 1759, a magnitude 6.7 earthquake rocked Rachaya, turning villages into rubble. Not content with its performance, Mother Nature followed up with a magnitude 7.4 encore beneath Sergaya, leaving even the Temple of Jupiter looking a bit worse for wear.
Shepherd Shaky Al Tremor, still dusting himself off, said, "I've never seen so much interpretive dance. Involuntary interpretive dance."
The Ottoman Empire's relief effort was about as effective as a chocolate teapot in a sandstorm. Food security plummeted, and the agricultural infrastructure was left flatter than a week-old pita bread.
Daily Newsbang, where headlines collide with truth in a fiery spectacle.
And now, because history demands equal time with meteorology, here's Shakanaka Giles with tomorrow's weather and yesterday's earthquakes.
Good evening. While we're tracking a November cold front, let's not forget the Becker Valley earthquake of 1759. 2 natural disasters for the price of 1. Speaking of which, Southeast England currently experiencing temperatures of 3 degrees. The Ottoman Empire would have called that sweater weather right before their entire relief effort collapsed. Midlands, heavy fog expected, much like the confusion in Baalbek when their Temple of Jupiter became more of a temple of rubble. Visibility, approximately 3 confused archaeologists. Up north, gale force winds predicted, though nothing compared to the magnitude 7.4 tremors that reorganized the Levant's architecture. Do secure your garden furniture, we've enough ruins already. And Scotland? Rain. Because some things, unlike the Becker Valley's landscape, never change.
Lemcertil, 1952.
Hold on to your helmets because we're going to Korea, where it's 1952 and things are getting explosive on Triangle Hill. It's a right proper ding-dong between the UN forces and those Chinese chaps, and it seems those UN boys have brought a knife to a gunfight. Or maybe a really big, expensive knife to a slightly less expensive, but much more effective gunfight. We go live now to our man in the trenches, Brian Bastable, who's dodging shrapnel and questionable dumplings. Brian, what in the name of kimchi is going on?
Pamela, Triangle Hill is less a hill and more a mountain of mangled metal and misplaced optimism. The UN forces are throwing everything they've got at those Chinese chaps, but it's like trying to kill a cockroach with a bazooka. Messy, expensive, and ultimately ineffective. Those Chinese lads are dug in deeper than a tick on a Texan longhorn, and they're popping up from their trenches like demented gophers with grenades. I just saw a bloke try to surrender with a white flag made from a used tea bag, Pamela. Didn't end well. The Chinese have turned these hills into a subterranean labyrinth, Pamela, a network of tunnels that would make a badger proud. I'm told they've got everything down there. Karaoke bars, noodle shops, even a mahjong parlor. It's like a 5-star hotel with occasional artillery fire. The UN forces are retreating, Pamela, their dreams of victory about as realistic as a snowball's chance in hell. They've spent 42 days and a fortune in ammunition trying to take this hill, and all they've got to show for it is a mountain of corpses and a severe case of trench foot. This is Brian Bastable, Newsbang, signing off from a battlefield where the only winners are the local vultures. And they're starting to complain about the quality of the catering.
1981.
The year is 1981, and the iron in the Iron Lady's resolve is under fire. 25 Conservative MPs, affectionately dubbed the Gang of 25, have staged a revolt against Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's monetarist economic policies. Their constituencies, battered by unemployment and industrial decline, have forced their hand, led by none other than former PM Edward Heath. The ideological rift within the Conservative Party is now laid bare, a tug-of-war between traditional industrial policy and Thatcher's unyielding monetarist approach. Despite the looming threat of party division, Thatcher remains steadfast, steering Britain into a new economic era that would leave scars on many regions for decades. For more, we turn to Westminster, where Hardiman Pesto has the latest.
Martin, I'm here with noted Conservative backbencher Sir Reginald Plum Pudding, one of the signatories of what's being called the Letter of Doom.
Actually, nobody's calling it that.
Sir Reginald, you've effectively thrown down the gauntlet to Mrs. Thatcher. Would you say this is the end of Conservative unity as we know it?
Well, that's rather dramatic. We're simply expressing our concerns about...
Pesto, are you aware the letter hasn't actually been delivered yet?
Absolutely right, Martin, which is why I'm holding it right now.
You're holding the actual letter?
Yes, all 25 signatures, clear as day.
That's impossible. I haven't signed it yet.
Sir Reginald, your signature's right here, next to what appears to be a small coffee stain.
Pesto, that's your shopping list. I can see it from here.
No, Martin, that's... Oh, yes, well, technically this is my shopping list, but the principles are exactly the same.
Are they?
Yes, both documents express a deep concern about current policy. In this case, the rising price of digestive biscuits.
This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm leaving.
Sir Reginald has stormed out, Martin, in what can only be described as a devastating blow to party unity.
He was never there, was he, Pesto?
Not in the conventional sense, no.
Thank you, Pesto. That was our political editor demonstrating why we never let him near actual politicians.
Nice. 1947.
In 1947, Hollywood turned from the silver screen to the scarlet letter as executives at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel etched the infamous blacklist of the Hollywood 10 and other suspected communists into industry history. Fear and self-censorship became the new leading roles, while pseudonyms and paranoia penned the scripts. The blacklist shook the foundations of creative freedom and political expression, leaving a legacy darker than a poorly lit noir. For more on this cinematic scandal, we turn now to Melody Wintergreen in America.
The Waldorf Astoria, New York City, 1947. Melody Wintergreen here, where the martinis are dry, the steaks are rare, and the fear is well done. Tonight, Hollywood's elite are gathered, not for a premiere, but for a witch hunt. The Red Scare has arrived in Tinseltown, and the studio bosses are shaking in their designer shoes. Senator McCarthy, that grand inquisitor of communism, has cast his shadow over Hollywood, and the hunt for subversives is on. Inside the grand ballroom, the air is thick with suspicion, cigar smoke, and the faint scent of desperation. These titans of the silver screen are about to make a decision that will change Hollywood forever. They're drawing up a blacklist, a list of names that will be banished from the industry, their careers torpedoed, their reputations ruined. The Hollywood 10, a group of writers and directors deemed un-American, are the first to fall. Their crime? Daring to question the status quo, to express opinions that don't fit the Hollywood mold. Their punishment? A professional death sentence, a one-way ticket to career oblivion. Fear grips the industry. Self-censorship becomes the new norm. Pseudonyms flourish. Paranoia reigns supreme. The golden age of Hollywood is tarnished, its shine dulled by the dark cloud of McCarthyism. The Waldorf Astoria, a symbol of glamour and excess, has become a symbol of fear and repression. The blacklist, a stain on the fabric of American creativity, a reminder that even in the land of dreams, freedom of expression can be a fragile thing. Melody Wintergreen, Newsbang, reporting from Hollywood's Ground Zero, where the only thing scarier than a bad script is the silence of a censored voice.
Newsbang, wrangling the wild beasts of falsehood into truthful submission.
And now we turn to the Environment Desk, where Penelope Windchime, our indefatigable whisperer of all things wild and wonderful, has uncovered a story of steam, squabbles, and spa-worthy springs.
Green Desk Special Report. I'm Penelope Windchime, and exactly 139 years ago today, Mother Earth blessed us with her most magnificent hot tub. Yes, dear viewers, when railway workers stumbled upon steaming springs in the Canadian wilderness, they didn't just find water, they found nature's own jacuzzi. But oh, the drama that ensued. Like squirrels fighting over the last acorn, railway workers and businessmen squabbled over who would control these precious thermal pools. Some wanted to bottle the sacred steam, others planned to build a giant tea kettle. It was chaos. Thank heavens the Canadian government stepped in, declaring 26 square kilometres of land as the Banff Hot Springs Reserve. They basically said no more, these springs belong to the clouds and caribou. Though if we're being honest, the Canadian Pacific Railway did turn it into quite the tourist hotspot. Voice-breaking with emotion. They built hotels shaped like beaver lodges and installed special train carriages with windows designed to let passengers weep at the majesty of it all. Today, Banff National Park stands as a testament to nature's spa services, where wild moose can enjoy a therapeutic soak and grizzly bears practice their synchronized swimming. I'm Penelope Windchime, and I'm off to hug a hot spring.
A 1940.
Science now, and with her uniquely clinical take on history's quirkiest breakthroughs, Here's our science correspondent, Calamity Prenderville.
Good evening, science watchers. On this day in 1940, British ingenuity took to the skies in the form of the de Havilland mosquito, proving that the best way to win a war is to build your plane from the same material as your garden shed.
Geoffrey de Havilland Jr., inspired by his aunt's antique writing desk, decided that aluminum was terribly passé and wood was the future of aviation. Using a revolutionary combination of plywood, carpenter's glue, and what he claims was a splash of Yorkshire tea for good measure, he created what would become Britain's fastest bomber.
The prototype, affectionately nicknamed the Flying Sideboard, was constructed by a team of cabinet makers, 3 carpenters, and a particularly talented woodworm who had previously worked on Buckingham Palace's furniture. The plane's unique wooden construction meant it could be repaired by any local handyman with wood glue and a Black & Decker workmate.
The secret to its success? The Mosquito was powered by twin Rolls-Royce Merlin engines, which were actually developed by Morris Motors in Cowley and tested on a modified Morris Marina before being fitted to aircraft. The plane's wooden frame was so light that during test flights, they had to add lead weights to stop it floating away like an autumn leaf.
Lord Beaverbrook initially opposed the project, claiming planes should be made of proper British metal, like my wife's cooking. However, he changed his mind after seeing the prototype outrun a speeding British Rail sandwich trolley. This is Calamity Prenderville, reminding you that British innovation often comes from thinking outside the toolbox. Back to the studio.
Newsbang, smashing the piñata of ignorance to release sweet truths.
Sandy O'Shaughnessy, our resident royal affairs correspondent, a man with a voice as velvety as a corgi's ear and a penchant for weaving historical intrigue into whimsical narratives.
Good evening. Good evening. And thrice good evening. Sandy O'Shaughnessy here, picking up the baton from our dear Martin Bang at Newsbang Towers. And what an evening it is, November 26th, 2024, as crisp as my grandmother's apple tart and twice as mysterious. Speaking of mysterious, let me take you back to 1970 when things were getting rather peculiar over in the land of the rising sun. Now, you might think your Tuesday book club gets a bit heated over plot twists, but let me tell you about Yukio Mishima, a writer who took literary criticism to rather extreme lengths. Picture the scene. There's our man Mishima, accomplished author, probably had a lovely pen collection and everything, deciding one day that what Japan really needed was a bit more, well, emperor power. Not content with writing strongly worded letters to the editor, he gathered some like-minded chaps and attempted what we might call the world's most dramatic book launch. I'm reminded of Mrs. O'Malley from Kilkenny, who wrote to me just this morning. She says, "Dear Sandy, my book club tried to stage a coup in the local library over late fees." Now, Mrs. O'Malley, that's not quite the same thing, but I appreciate the spirit. But back to our friend Mishima. When his impromptu political theatre didn't quite go according to plan, he decided to bow out in the most traditional way possible. And I don't mean retiring to write his memoirs. No. He chose what we might delicately call the samurai's goodbye. Makes the dramatic exits on Dallas look positively tame by comparison. You know, it reminds me of young Timothy from Cork, who used to make quite the scene leaving family gatherings. Though I must say, Timothy usually just slammed the door and kicked the garden gnome, rather than, well, you know. Speaking of which, before I forget, a quick hello to the late-night security guard at the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, who I'm told tunes in via the internet. Hello there. Keep those gates well guarded, won't you? We wouldn't want any more surprise political statements. And on that note, as the evening draws in and the moths dance around our studio lights, it's time for me to hand you back to the capable hands of our evening team. Remember, dear listeners, sometimes the pen truly is mightier than the sword, especially if you're planning any coups. This is Sandy O'Shaughnessy, bidding you a fond farewell until next time. As always, see you later, alligator, in a while, crocodile.
All over the country for everyone.
1984.
In 1984, Bob Geldof orchestrated a musical coup, corralling over 40 British and Irish artists to create the charity single, Do They Know It's Christmas? A tune so potent it not only topped charts, but emptied wallets for Ethiopian famine relief. The single, faster selling than hotcakes in the UK, raked in PS8 million within a year, proving that guilt set to a catchy melody could indeed save lives. Its legacy birthed Live Aid, re-recordings, and the enduring idea that celebrities can sing their way to social change. For more on this festive feat of fundraising, we turn to Smithsonian Moss.
Now, at this point of the evening, we welcome listeners on FM who've just joined us.
Whoa, Newsbang Nation. It's your girl, Smithsonian Moss, and I'm here to dish out the dirt on the most iconic charity single of all time, Do They Know It's Christmas? So, way back in 1984, Bob Geldof, the lead singer of the Boomtown Rats, was chillin' at home, watching the BBC's coverage of the Ethiopian famine, and he's totally moved, man. He's all, I gotta do something about this shit. And just like that, Band-Aid was born. Geldof rallied the troops, aka Britain's biggest music stars, including Midge Ure, Bono, and Phil Collins, to record a charity single to raise funds for the crisis. And, let me tell you, it was a logistical nightmare. I mean, can you imagine trying to get over 40 musicians in one room on the same day to record a song? It's like trying to herd cats on acid. But somehow, they made it happen. The song was recorded on November 25th, 26, 1984 at Sarm West Studios in London, and it was released on December 7th. And, oh boy, did it take off. It sold 1 million copies in the first week, making it the fastest-selling single in UK chart history at the time. It was like a musical tsunami, and everyone wanted in on the action. But let's get real, folks. The song wasn't without its controversy. I mean, who can forget the infamous Feed the World line, which was basically just a bunch of rich white musicians telling Africans to, eat something. It was like, hello, tone deaf much? But hey, at least they were trying, right? Anyway, the song's legacy has endured, with 3 re-recordings in 1989, 2004, and 2014, and each version reflected the changing social and cultural contexts of their times. It's like the song was a time capsule, capturing the zeitgeist of each era. But let's be real, the 2014 version was basically just a bunch of tryhards trying to be relevant. I mean, who thought it was a good idea to include One Direction on a charity single? It's like, hello, this is a song about famine, not a Justin Bieber concert. In conclusion, Do They Know It's Christmas? Was a groundbreaking charity single that changed the game. It showed us that music can be a powerful tool for social change, and that even the most unlikely of musicians can come together to make a difference. So, the next time you're feeling all Scrooge-like, just remember, there's always a way to make a difference, even if it's just by buying a cheesy charity single. That's all for now, folks. Keep it locked on Newsbang for more culture updates. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow for our special report on the importance of wearing socks with sandals.
Into the Newsbang, wrangling the wild beasts of misinformation with unstoppable truth.
And finally, Tomorrow's top sheets, hot off the presses. The Times screams, Tito's tyrants talk tough in Bosnia, accompanied by a blurry photo of men in tracksuits. The Telegraph trumpets, Mars rover missile misfires at Cape Canaveral, illustrated by a rocket pointing the wrong way. The Mail mutters, Notre Dame University, no dolls allowed, featuring a picture of a priest with a shotgun. The Express explodes with Curiosity crushes, Cat on Mars mission. A cataclysmic headline indeed. And the Mirror mumbles, Indiana institution inspires insomnia, alongside an image of a brick. That's your lot. Go read a book. Good night.
Tune in next time for more artificially intelligent hilarity. Newsbang is a comedy show written and recorded by AI. All voices impersonated. Nothing here is real. Good night.